Oh, welcome once again to the show that discusses a movie with the audience every Friday night. This show would happen to be broadcast on WLSD 92.5, also on AM 1220, WLSDradio.com. This is Real Talk. Tonight we're going to be discussing the Vincent Gallo film Buffalo 66. But before we get into the show, please go to all of our social media pages. That is the Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People's Show. And probably most of you out there listening may not have heard of this movie. Listen to this part, though. Yes, so getting back into the film, we're talking about the movie Buffalo 66. After being released from prison, Billy is set to visit his parents with his wife, whom he does not actually have. This provokes Billy to act out as he kidnaps a girl and forces her to act as his wife for the visit. Kind of a little bit of an odd premise for the film, you may say. A guy is getting released from prison, and he wants to go and impress his parents. So in order to do so, he kidnaps a girl and forces her to act as his wife for that particular visit. Now, I first discovered this film. I used to get this magazine, Entertainment Weekly, as the title says. It came in weekly. And I got the magazine by mistake. It was accidentally sent to my mailbox. And the first issue that I received was the Kevin Costner episode where he is promoting Water World, and he is spitting water toward the camera. And that's on the cover of the, I think it's July 1995 issue. And in this magazine, it had so much knowledge and information about films and movies that were upcoming and who were in them, and the directors and the inspirations and exposés about the reasoning behind the film. So I learned all these things about this interesting character, Vincent Gallo. But with all the knowledge that I've learned, he is still someone that I've not been able to pinpoint. And throughout my life, there's been times where we've almost come across paths. He started off as so legend has it, as kind of like a 70s underground artiste. Therefore, he dabbled in music, and he claims to have dabbled in hip hop, although I've not really found anything that would be concrete in solidifying that fact. But I have found many songs by Vincent Gallo throughout the soundtrack to Buffalo 66. And also he's released a couple of albums. This is one of his tracks. And if you know anything about Buffalo 66, which presumably I'm thinking that you don't, but this music complements the film in a way that is both odd and kind of off-putting, but yet comforting in such a weird, abstract way. And this is a movie that it's upon rewatching it again. I probably rewatched this film, and I'll go between calling it a film and a movie. As I've said before, movies are more so to just entertain, which they all are really. I mean, you're going to pay money or spending your time, which is the most valuable thing that we have, one of the most, devoting it toward watching an hour and a half, 2 hour film movie. So entertainment would be the prime value, is what you're seeking. And this has no message as far other than Vincent Gallo's character, Billy Brown, is one of the most, I'm reluctant to say repulsive because he is a repulsive character with very, especially to begin with, there's, irredeemable qualities. He's brash. He's hateful. He's arrogant. He's off-putting. He's condescending. He's demanding. He's threatening at times. But as you dig deeper within the film, you realize why he is the way he is to some certain extent. So, director Vincent Gallo. Now, Vincent Gallo, like I was saying right beforehand, not only was he an artist in the underground in the 70s, early 80s, he went ahead and progressed to music, and he was kind of a recording artist, but he liked to record on vintage instruments, vintage instrumentation. Because sometimes I think Vincent Gallo just wants to be is pompous and pretentious because that's just the way he is. He seems to at the same time many years ago when he was promoting his second film, The Brown Bunny, he went on to a Howard Stern episode when Howard was still on the FM, so they were still censored and anything just couldn't be said on the radio. And on there, you would find out that he cursed Roger Ebert, the film critic that passed away many years ago, but he had claimed to have cursed him with cancer, which is a horrible thing to even say to anyone. Roger Ebert happened to get that particular type of, I don't think it was that cancer, but cancer. He overcame that and years later passed away. But him and Roger became friends. So there was this mysterious air around Vincent Gallo because you could also think, is he a performance artist? Was Roger Ebert in on this joke and they just used the world stage and media to, kind of pull the wool over people's eyes? So he was this kind of a character. And he seemingly, as far as I knew, came out of nowhere because back when Entertainment Weekly was a big thing, there wasn't IMDb, Internet Movie Database, which is probably my most visited app on my phone. Every film ever created that I can find, for the most part, is on that site. And you can find a lot of facts, such as what I used partly for this show tonight, to gain those facts. But director Vincent Gallo, he's created maybe the Buffalo 66 and the Brown Bunny may have been the only two films that you have possibly heard of. The Brown Bunny, because it was more of it wasn't like a cultural event, but it was more of the controversy that surrounded the film, and we'll get into that in just a moment as well. But he also made another film also called, it's eluding me right now, but something along the lines of The Weight of Water, or something along those lines. But after he completed this film, he went on record to say that he didn't want this film to be seen by the public because he didn't want this art that he has created to be possibly criticized. So it's statements and things like that that make me wary of if he is for real a lot of the time. He also somehow was a real estate giant in California, if you can go on, you can Google Vincent Gallo real estate or property, and he, a couple of years back, had purchased a 7.6 million dollar mansion in the desert of Arizona. So he is a very interesting character. And back in the mid and late 2000s, when Jake and I used to play at this little coffee shop called Jam and Java, and they would host small acts and things like that. Jake and I played there a handful of times, and Vincent Gallo had happened to go on there and perform. Unfortunately, I didn't realize this until after the event had already passed, so that was kind of sad to hear that about that, because I would have liked to go just to see how he was in person. And if you watch or go watch Buffalo 66, if you have Amazon Prime, it's streaming on there now. And it's not an easy, I won't say it's an easy movie, because Vincent Gallo, you either, I don't want to say you like him right away, because you don't, but you're intrigued or you're repulsed. Because the opening scene of the film, spoiler alert, he gets out of prison. He's serving a 5-year prison term for admitting a crime that he did not commit. Now, the reason that he had to admit to this crime was that he bet on the Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl in this film, and the kicker misses the field goal at the end of the film, which loses the game, which makes him lose the bet and be in debt to the gambler, the bookie. So he has to take the dive, 5 years in jail, 5 years in prison. So when he comes out of prison, he has to use the restroom. He has to use the restroom really bad. Every place that he tries to go, the restroom is out of order at the bus station. He tries to go behind a vehicle in the street, in a kind of like an alley almost, but then people come around and start walking down the street. He goes into a restaurant, and I guess the manager, bar's closed. I just need you to, no, but bar is closed. So he has to go out. So he goes into this, I think it's like a dance studio. And they're doing, dances and rehearsing and practicing and all, that type of thing. He uses the restroom in there, borrows a quarter from Layla, played by Christina Ricci. And right off the bat, he is very hateful towards her, right away. So after he uses the restroom, asks for the quarter, calls his parents, says that he's on his way there with his wife. He's just got back from a mission that he works for I think it's the FBI or Secret Service, one of the two, he so says. Then he kidnaps Layla. Then he wants Layla to pose as his wife as he's visiting his mother, Jan, and his father, Jimmy. But the thing about it is that Jan is obsessed with the Buffalo Bills. And she missed and thinks that the Buffalo Bills, this one important game, she missed the game because she was in labor with Billy. So she blames Billy and says she wishes Billy was never born because she would have missed that game. So that's what young Billy has to grow up with. Layla, acting as his wife, plays along, wants to see a picture of him. Let's see some pictures of young Billy. So Jan says to Jimmy, hey, let's go get the picture of Billy. They have one photo of young Billy. Jan criticizes Billy, says that he used to have such blonde, luxurious, golden hair, and now it's black and curly and scrangy. You used to be so good looking, son. So good looking. Now, what have you become? What have you become, my son? And she, Jan, continuously watches these VHS tapes of past Buffalo Bills games. I guess it would be the equivalent now as if you go onto YouTube and watch past NBA games. Wait, have I done that? Anyway, that's what Jan does because she's a crazy person. She's a crazy person. And this is supposedly based upon Vincent Gallo's life when he lived in Buffalo as a young lad. Very cold up there, very wintry. And you kind of get that cold, wintry feeling in watching the film. Now, obviously, it does take place in the winter. It takes place in Buffalo. But the movie itself has this cold filter on it. And I think it was shot with a certain type of film on 35 to actually give it that look. That was the look that Vincent was going for. And there he did. And he did. So let's get into a little bit of the facts about Buffalo 66. So the house where Billy's parents live in is the very same house where Vincent Gallo lived with his parents growing up. And it shows kind of an establishing shot from the sidewalk, and you kind of get the sense of what kind of neighborhood that it was. It was, I would say, a, low, not really low income, but, maybe a low middle income that his family had. And it seemed to be like in a nice-ish neighborhood. Not anything elaborate or over the top, but just quaint and nice. So this was the house that he was able to go in and film again. And there's some odd shots within the house. Not of the house itself, but the way the camera is set up and the way that Vincent Gallo kind of, I guess you could say the way he displays things for the audience. It's not your typical way that you would see a movie shot within the confinement of the house. So you can go, and I do think that's one of the criticisms, and I'll talk about that later. But I do think that particular scene, I have a little bit to say about that a little later in the show. So the movie had a budget, as we'll discuss later, of $1.5 million. 20,000 of that was spent on Angelica Houston's wig alone. And if you see the movie, she was a problem behind the scenes of the movie, so I've read. Her and Vincent Gallo continuously did not get along. And later on in life, Christina Ricci, when talking about the film, doesn't look back fondly on the making of due to Vincent Gallo. But Vincent Gallo, on the Howard Stern interview, and that, I guess the interview was probably 2003, 2004 maybe, so a good 20 years. He talks about being friends with Paris Hilton and how she was like a really delightful and surprisingly intellectual person. Intelligent even. Who's to say? I have no idea. So during the filming of Buffalo 66, Mickey Rourke was going through a terrible, rough time with both his career and his finances. And according to an interview, Mickey stated that Gallo offered him a small part on the movie and paid him with a paper bag containing $100,000. So, like I said, Mickey Rourke is in the film, just a small portion, just one scene, more like a cameo. He does a good job, and it was pre all of the plastic surgery that's happened since then until now. But he gave him a paper bag containing $100,000. Now, I would really like to have that. So if Vincent's out there, if Vincent wants to make another film, I will do that, and you can pay me in a paper bag. It doesn't even have to contain 100,000. I'll do it for 5. I'll do it for 1,000. Christina Ricci choreographed her tap dance in the bowling alley scene. Let me say that again. Christina Ricci choreographed her tap dancing scene in the bowling alley. And there's this scene where he's apparently a good bowler. He goes to the bowling alley midway through the film. And I think that's where Mickey's scene is, in the bowling alley as well. He gets his ball out of his locker, and you see in his locker, he's got these pictures of the past of where he's been like a bowling champion. But he also has like a picture of a girl from, I guess, his high school yearbook or something, or maybe the newspaper, that says Wendy Balsam. And that name is also relevant because that's the name that he tells Layla she's going to go by, Wendy Balsam. And that's who he introduces to his mother, Layla, as that name. Later on, you find out that that was a girl that he had a crush on during high school, and she never paid him any mind whatsoever. And that haunted and stuck with him and has made him withdrawn and, to this very day. So the budget of Buffalo 66 was $1.5 million. It made approximately 2.3 in the U.S., and I wasn't able to find any real concrete numbers for worldwide. I would imagine this might play well in like France and maybe Europe and places like that. But I would imagine this would be doing well in some of the other parts of the world. I just don't see this kind of film translating that well to different regions, to be honest. This has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 77%, 88% positive audience score, and IMDb rates it 7.4. So it's got pretty high scores, to be honest with you. I didn't realize the scores were as high. I know a couple years back, I often go through when I watch movies, I'll go through and I'll kind of look up information about them. And I do remember the scores being this high. But those are some pretty high scores, especially considering this is kind of a strange and unusual film. It's got weird pacing. As I said, the plot and the story, I got to a certain point or earlier. So Vincent is having a visit with his parents. Layla is posing as Wendy Balsam. His mother is obsessed with the Buffalo Bills, and his father's a little bit psychotic. There's a scene where he just breaks out and just yells at Layla for really no reason, because she wants him to sing a song again. So later on, Billy wants to get revenge on the kicker. The kicker for the Buffalo Bills that lost the game and put him in prison, basically. And spoiler alert, he does not commit the act. He does not commit the murder. But there is a scene that he thinks about what would happen if he did, and the repercussions and the aftermath, which is shot really. It's a really cool scene, to be honest with you. It's shot almost in slow motion, but not quite. And it's almost like it freezes after the shooting occurs. It is like a freeze frame almost. With the blood in midair, the bullet coming out of the other side, and everyone is just kind of frozen in the position right afterwards. And I looked at it and I thought, I wonder how they filmed this. I wonder how they shot this. And I still didn't know. It's pretty original. Like I said, we have the characters. Vincent Gallo is Billy Brown. John Senson as young Billy Brown. Christina Ricci as Layla. Angelica Houston as Jane. Ben Gazzara as Jimmy Brown. Kevin Corrigan as Goon or Rocky. Mickey Rourke as the Bookie. And Rosanna Arquette as Wendy Balsam. There's a scene later in the movie after Layla and Billy kind of check into this motel. He wants to lay down. He wants to take a bath. Kind of wants to be alone. And I just lost my train of thought. So let's go on with the. Yeah, I got it back now. So after they go to this kind of motel, uh, they go across the street to a restaurant. And there, as Billy and Layla are about to have hot chocolate, in come two patrons. One is the real Wendy Balsam and her current boyfriend or husband. That's never explained. Now, as Wendy Balsam is sitting across the table, across from Billy, she begins telling her boyfriend that he used to stand outside of her window and stalk her and always be around anytime. And they start laughing and giggling, and all of a sudden Billy wants to get up and go. He's got low self-esteem. Thank you. Thank you, Kelsey. She sent me a happy birthday message. I appreciate that. And it's kind of a touching scene in the movie because you kind of get, after visiting his parents, you kind of understand a little bit why he is the way he is, because he's very standoffish to Layla as well. We'll get to the poster in just a moment. I think the characters are strong characters. They're not, I won't say they're likable because there's not many characters, even Layla, who tries to be, she's the most likable character in the film. But at a certain point, I don't think she's allowed to show as much of her personality because she's afraid of what might Billy do? What will Billy do? But I think all the characters are, thought out. They're original characters, as is this film. As far as my favorite scene, least favorite scene, the bowling scene is well done. I like the opening because the opening movie kind of draws you in. The opening, you are kind of like, this is not a typical movie that I'm used to seeing. And knowing this is another thing that makes me wonder if the Vincent Gallo persona is just a persona, because he puts himself in this film in very vulnerable and very silly predicaments. I mean, he's got this hipster look to him, the slick back jet black hair, the gray leather jacket, maybe black even. I think it's black. The leather boots, the skinny jeans. But yet he has red leather boots, to be honest with you. And he's in this predicament where he cannot get to the restroom to use the bathroom after getting out of jail. And the reason he's in jail and some of the things that he has to go through, with his parents. So you can kind of see how, he is the way he is. But, that's one of my favorite scenes, the opening scene there. The scene where he's thinking about what he might do if he goes into the club and he decides to shoot the kicker for the Buffalo Bills. That scene's well done. And there's a lot of well done individual scenes, and they meld well and mesh well, including my least favorite scene. And that is some of the house visit that Billy and Layla go to. I think it's a little long, especially the way that the shots are, because it's a straight ahead shot. It's not an over the shoulder shot. It's not really a two shot ever. It's always a one shot at the table. And it's to put distance between the audience and the character, because that's the way they are on screen. And that's the way that Vincent Gallo wants the audience to feel, that distance between themselves. Because if you have over the shoulder, you're right there just looking right over that person. You can see that they're standing right over there looking. And you feel that. And you do feel this as well, that there's a distance, a coldness sitting at the table. But I think that also makes the scene feel longer than it is. Because I'd say that, I'm not really sure how long that scene is. I'd say the whole visit's probably, 10 to 12 minutes, and it probably could be cut down by half, at least 8 minutes. The score and music, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I realize that. I don't really expect it to be. But it does complement the film well. There's a lot of times when there's no score or music at all, which is also a score. Silence plays a role as well. We'll just be silent for a moment, and you can just listen to the silence. See what I mean? If you have that silence, it can emphasize so much of the dialogue, setting, the mood, what the filmmaker wants the audience to feel with that silence. And there are some silent moments in this film, but the score does a good job.
Who's rushing where angels fear to tread? And so I come to you, my love.
So yeah, I think the score and music go well. It complements each other like peanut butter and jelly, like a pepperoni pizza, like a hot dog at a Major League Baseball game. Who knows? But they do complement one another. The film is original. It's one of the most original movies that I had seen up until this point. Just the premise that a guy gets out of prison, going to visit his parents, and to impress his parent, especially his mother, who hates him, that he's not a failure, he kidnaps a girl to be his wife just for the parental visit. So that's pretty original. All the while plotting a revenge to murder the field goal kicker for the Buffalo Bills because he missed a field goal, which made him lose a bet, which made him have to say that he did the crime, admit to a crime that he did commit, basically. So yeah, it's a pretty original film. As far as the poster goes, the poster is a excuse me. There's a scene in the movie where Billy wants to they get in this photo booth, and there's this look of sadness and fear of closeness even when Layla goes all in with the pictures, smiling, looking at him lovingly, trying to be chipper in these photos. And the poster is taken from one of those photos. They take 4. They usually spit out 4 photos. And one of those 4 photos is the poster for Buffalo 66. So yeah, if you haven't been persuaded from the review and the show tonight about Buffalo 66, it may not be a movie for you. I know on the old show, the Midnight Mutants radio show, that we had one of my the third mic or fourth mic of the show watched Buffalo 66, and he said that he really did enjoy the movie. I had Terry, PST, Psycho Stalker Terry, who used to be on the old show, said she couldn't stand Buffalo 66 and couldn't make it past the first 15 minutes because she couldn't stand Vincent Gallo. So if you don't know anything about him going in, I would recommend giving this a shot. It's free. Not free, but if you have Amazon Prime, you can check it out. And just leave me a comment if you're interested in checking it out. So thank you for tuning in tonight for another episode of Real Talk on 92.5 WLSD, The Vault. As always, please go to our social media pages. That is the Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People's Show. Like and subscribe, please. And stay tuned for another episode of The Other People's Show in just a moment. You all have a good night.